Today we're speaking about something called the secret stash. And it seems like many women have secretly been stashing money. Yes, very, very secretly. And by that we mean like stashing money away apart from the knowledge of their partners, some their husbands, and even their children. They say to be saving for a rainy day, a catastrophe, or even a divorce, or perhaps unemployment. But for other women, the secret funds are simply a way to acquire some financial independence. There might be so many reasons why this takes place, and it's good for us to go in and uncover why women are saving money or stashing money secretly. But moreover, let's also find out what the consequences of sneaking away money are. We're going into this one with Sheila-ann Robey, who's a certified financial planner at Liberty, a financial services organization. Sheila-ann, thank you so much for your time. Good morning.
Good morning, Palesa and Benjamin. Thanks for having me today.
Okay, I think the most fascinating part of this conversation is the why itself. And I'm under the thought that this is not a new thing at all. And women have been secretly stashing money for a long time. But perhaps the reason why women do it today, it can be quite different from why women have done it a few generations ago.
I think, Palesa, to put it into context, given the rise of financial literacy in our country, or the ability to access financial literacy, has meant that women have more knowledge, they're more empowered when it comes to their personal finances. There are certainly a myriad of reasons as to why they would want to. You mentioned financial independence, and I think that is definitely one of the main sort of underlying reasons why women would choose to hide money from their partners. I think also historically, I know that gender-based violence is a trend on your platform. Protection from financial abuse is another underlying reason as to why women would stash money away from their partners. In South Africa, the marital regime that we default to is in community of property. And stashing money away, whether that be in a third party's name or your children's name, can ensure that a woman has debt protection if her spouse has racked up a lot of debt. Stashing money away is one way to prevent her from having a negative credit score. Also, perhaps previous financial trauma. These are just some of the reasons why women might want to hide and separate their finances from their spouse.
All right, that's so interesting. Do we know why the occurrence happens in this format? Is it because of distrust? Is it because of independence, maybe, that you are alluding to?
I think there are various factors that play into the underlying reasons. The statistics released from Standard Bank recently is that over 70% of all home loans over the last 10 years are female applicants. 44% of vehicle finance in this country are by female applicants. And then 50% of all vehicle purchases are women between the ages of 31 and 45. So I think there's definitely a rise of empowerment in terms of the female demographic. The underlying reasons for separating finances, besides the ones that I've already mentioned, is for purposes of estate planning. Women are more prevalent in the workspace,
Mm-hmm.
and creating a legacy and generational wealth is also something that has become a priority for females. Um, Again, cultural and personal preferences. Some women may simply just prefer to manage their finances independently because they would enjoy freedom to make their own financial decisions. As a result of the rise in financial literacy, more and more women are getting married with an antenuptial contract in place, which doesn't require signing power from the spouse to enter into transactions.
Mm-hmm.
And also, just in terms of the statistics, there's a definite decline in formally registered marriages in this country. And the research that has been done has alluded to the fact that women aren't necessarily requiring the need to enter into formal relationships. And as a result, the partnerships that they do enter into, they would operate more independently. I see also in my experience with my clients, separation in finances sometimes is for the purposes of reducing conflict within the union. And then also just to simplify asset division, where parties are married in community of property for estate planning purposes, when one party dies, it's an administrative nightmare to wind up a joint estate. And these are just some of the reasons that I've experienced why females would want to separate their finances or keep a secret stash.
Yeah. And, there was a conversation I heard in a conference room where there was an expert who was also saying that some women stash up that money for also emergency situations. And at times when they utilize that stash, it's actually used for other people in terms of family members or family orientated situations. What's your take on that opinion?
I must agree with that. And in my experience, I have an equal split between male clients and female clients. And females are naturally more, inclined to adopt a caregiving role. And as a result, they would want to prioritize education, savings, and maintaining a household, making sure that the maintenance of the household in terms of day-to-day expenses are tended to. Specifically, women are more cautious in terms of their planning, thus the prioritization of an emergency fund or a catastrophe fund or a secret divorce fund, whereas my male clients naturally are more inclined to prioritize their retirement planning and take a more aggressive approach when it comes to investment strategies. So I definitely agree with that in terms of my experience with male and female clients.
So, Sheila-ann, let's go on a short break. We need to take a break, but I want us to come back and actually look at the different implications of the secret stash, also depending on the relation of that woman. So, perhaps a single woman having a secret stash would have different implications from a married woman, and a married woman married in community of property and one who's married out of community of property also have different implications. And what about children as well? Women with and without children would also have different implications to the secret stash. Everybody is stashing, but they may mean very, very different things. So just keep that in mind. We'll continue that conversation after the break. It's Our Money Matters. If you are a woman and you have a secret stash of money, we'll keep your secret. Don't worry. We will keep your secret. Just let us know, why are you keeping that secret stash? What do you intend to use it for?
Es-tu préoccupé par quelque chose? Es-tu passionné par les questions qui comptent? As-tu une voix qui mérite d'être entendue? Eh bien, nous avons la plateforme parfaite pour toi. Téléphone-nous ou fais-nous un WhatsApp au +27 66 408 87 42 et nous te rappellerons. Sois dans la conversation.
Salut Channel Africa, ici Beno le diamant rouge et Binal Export depuis le Cameroun, le pays des lions. Voilà.
Sois dans la conversation. Il ne s'agit pas seulement de parler, mais c'est ta chance d'exprimer ton point de vue, de partager tes opinions et de t'engager avec une communauté qui valorise ton avis. Suivez-nous sur les réseaux sociaux, visitez notre site www.channelafrica.co.za et préparez-vous à partager vos points de vue sur Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Step into the heart of the day on the move with Palesa and Benjamin.
Hey, we're speaking to Sheila-ann Robey, who is a certified financial planner at Liberty today. And we're speaking in our Money Matters feature on the secret stash, and specifically focusing on women secretly putting money away for a rainy day, for a catastrophe like divorce, unemployment, or a certain shortfall in the family budget. It's an interesting one because I remember growing up as we're talking about this. My mom had different types of stashes. It wasn't just money. My mother even hid from my father that she was going to driving school. Can you believe that? The first cell phone I saw from my mom was a secret stash. She bought a beautiful phone and she hid it from all of us. And I was like, Mom, what's this? Like, no. This is mine. It belongs to me. So there's so many things that women stash and do things very secretly for their own empowerment. The secrecy element, I wonder, Sheila, and whether it's a positive one or a negative one, or is it a bit of both?
I think it depends entirely from client situation to client situation. Financial abuse is definitely something that I've experienced in my client engagements, and I think where it calls for the creation of a secret stash or an emergency fund, I would encourage females to seek out a trusted, certified financial planner to guide them and ensure that the best interest of them financially, not necessarily the entire household or the partnership itself, is taken into account. However, in my experience as well, transparency and communication is a key element in ensuring that the goals and objectives of that union financially are met. In the same breath as keeping a secret stash of money, in the inverse may conceal the existence of a whole bunch of debt that they've accumulated.
For sure.
So we want to foster an environment of removing the taboo about discussing finances in this country. That it becomes something that empowers us as opposed to make us feel shame and guilt when we discuss finances. And the same goes for, how we choose a partner in life. That is how we should choose a financial advisor and how we make decisions for our financial future.
Okay, and the secret stashes look differently, as you've mentioned, that they kind of can be in the form of some form of money that's put away as a form of property investment, in the form of an emergency fund. But have you noticed in terms of single women, married women, how things look differently when it comes to their secret stashes?
Absolutely. I find with my single female clients, it's necessary. It's mostly just hiding money from themselves so that they reach their own personal objectives.
All right, they don't want
And
another
then
bag or
also-
more shoes, hey?
Yeah. And then also, when you have a successful female who's single, I very often find that there's a very charitable nature. They will often give back to society. But then, in the negative, where they would have a family setup or a family situation that would then rely on them financially, where they are paying for nieces and nephews' educations, the rich auntie vibes. And in this instance, it's important for those single females to ensure that they've got accurate estate planning, that they're not compromising themselves from a retirement planning point of view. And it is definitely different from my married clients. Married clients mostly are hiding money from their spouses, not necessarily their children. I don't often find that female clients are negligent towards their children in a financial planning context, but it is generally just from spouses. Particularly, I find with most of my client setups, there's always one spouse that's head of admin and there's always one spouse that's the spender. So, and that varies from gender to gender.
So, when one has this secret stash, I'm pretty sure the implications are different. The reasons, of course, are different, as you've just mentioned. But if a woman is married and perhaps in community of property, as an example, and anything were to occur, that money, how does it actually get to belong to them? Would they have to stash it maybe under the bed? But if it's in a bank account, does it still belong to the two of them?
Yes. In this regime, both spouses have equal rights and responsibilities. So keeping a secret stash can create future legal issues if one party elects to get divorced, or if one of them dies. The same sort of implications happen. And both partners are entitled to half of the joint estate. So if one party does discover hidden assets during a divorce proceedings or an inheritance proceedings, it can lead to many disputes and certain potential penalties. So it's the best way to sort of go about stashing money if you are subject to the marital regime of in community of property, is to find a way in terms of creating a trust or some kind of investment that would pay directly to beneficiaries of your choosing. Ensure that your will, in terms of your half of the joint estate, will divulge in terms of your wishes. And then I've even seen clients go so far as to invest money in their children's names or their parents' names to avoid it forming part of the joint estate.
I see. Well, is it something that you would still say it is beneficial for women to have the secret stash that is hidden away from others and, as you said, sometimes hidden away from yourself? If a woman comes to you and she's trying to get financial advice and she's like, okay, is it necessary for me to be putting away this extra money in a secret place? Is that something that you would say yes to? And why, of course?
Again, it really does depend on the situation, and each client is unique in terms of their needs and in terms of their financial planning. But in general, my advice would be to ensure that you have an accessible emergency savings portfolio, some medium-term savings, particularly for children's education or for your medium-term needs if you're child-free. And then also to ensure that your long-term financial planning structures are in place, your retirement, planning for retirement, particularly if you are a non-working spouse. If you're a non-income generating spouse and you're living off of money from that you're being given from your spouse or odds and ends or a side hustle, it's important to have a relationship with a financial advisor, get the advice, make sure these 3 tiers of short-term, medium-term, and long-term are put in place. And it's up to you whether or not this is something that you would like to remain confidential. And it's all about creating empowerment for the client sitting in front of me. The only person who cares more about your money than you should be your financial advisor. But you, as a client, you need to take control of your finances and get that financial literacy so that you're acting in your best interest and being good to yourself.
We'll have to leave it there, Sheila-ann. Thank you so much. I think it is a great conversation, especially as we wrap up Women's Month as well, to see how women are, using their finances, but also how they're putting them away, whether it's a secret or not. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Take care.
That's certified financial planner at Liberty, Sheila-ann Robey, speaking about the secret stash of money that women seem to have. What are you using your secret stash for? We won't tell anybody your secret. Just let us know at Channel Africa 1. It's 11:30 Central Africa time. Once again, time for our latest sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.